Hello, everyone. How's everyone? Thank you for being here today. Another episode here, Data Meaning Transform Tuesday. And here we're going to discuss today beer data visualization. I'm sorry, not visualization, transformations.
that's
Transformations
that's
today. We're
tomorrow, right?
Yes, that's tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to have data visualizations related to beer data. And we have with us today Trishan and Eric. Eric, you're there in Brazil, right?
Yeah, in Brazil, in São
You're in
Paulo.
Brazil. Look at the bar that he have on the back. I need to
Yeah,
fix my background, but it didn't work
looks good
today.
here.
And yeah, so this is awesome. I mean, we're doing this every Tuesday at 12. I'm sorry, 3 p.m. Eastern. I'm tired today. And it will be great stuff related to transformations every week. So be tuned with us and be with us every week at Tuesdays at 3 p.m. And yeah, I mean, the idea here is for us to, to share how we did these transformations. Hopefully, you can learn how you can do it yourself and have fun. And what more fun than with a beer data, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So tell me a little bit of what do you got over there, Eric, today? How do you found this data?
Yeah, that's actually a very interesting subject.
Mhm.
And I'm going to start with some fun facts about beer. And
Mhm.
then we got some beer reviews from a website, and we did
Mhm.
a little bit of web scraping and also geospatial. And I think you'll find it very interesting and very useful.
Awesome. So, Tracy, what do you have for today? Where do you go? Where do you got your data?
I also did some web scraping, and what we're going to
Mm.
kind of show today, mine instead of the beer side is breweries. So
I
yeah,
like that.
yeah, I love to travel. When I'm
Mhm.
traveling, I love to go see breweries. So I built an app that allows me to like put in my address of my hotel, and then it shows all the breweries within X amount. And then gives like links for their webpage and stuff like that. So we're gonna go through that, and then I actually think we're gonna make an adjustment to the app. So we'll do that live here so that people can kind of see that as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, Eric, if you want to start showing us what you
Sure.
got, yeah,
Okay.
your screen can wait.
Let
Yeah,
me
I have
share
the
my
beer, but
screen.
I only have wine at
Let me
home. Wine
organize it.
and liquor. I have rum, but too much. I need to bring beer. Yeah.
Maybe that can be also
Mm.
a subject for another episode.
Wine, rum, cocktails. Cocktails could be cool. Yeah, some whiskey and
Let
yeah.
me.
I think I just drank all the beer this weekend, so I don't have any with me now.
What's
Uh,
fortunate for those that are going to Inspire to Alteryx Inspire? There's a lot of great places to have a beer or an
oh, yeah.
alcoholic beverage in Denver. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Emil,
Awesome.
did you get the slide, the whole page? Not sure if I shared the right screen.
Um, okay, I think it's coming now. We can see something in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I didn't get the right one. Oh yeah. I got the right one. I think.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Got
that
it.
one. That's worked.
There. I got it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so just fun facts to start. So beer is the most widely consumed alcoholic beverage in the world.
Mhm.
Actually, I was going to start with something different. I got some facts saying the beer was also the oldest alcoholic beverage, but I got some other pages and articles challenging that, so I skipped that one. And that's very interesting. That's the third most popular drink after water and tea, and that
Mhm.
means that's a lot of beer out there, and it would be very hard to challenge water, right? And also that's a very large and interesting market, and from this source I got more than 600 million sorry $600 billion, and
Okay.
other sources they always around these values from 600 to 700, and it's also a growing market. And
Okay.
in US, Americans consume more than 70 liters per year per capita. So maybe a question for everyone: are you above the American average or below?
Well,
That's a
probably
lot.
low.
That's a
That's a
lot.
lot, right?
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
lot.
that's
Mhm.
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
And then we can move to our transformations, right?
Hmm.
I think I can start with mine.
Yes, please.
So let me start with this. So I'm going to show you how we got data from this webpage, the Beer Advocate, and we're going to focus on the top 250 beers, this ranking here, and that's why we had to do some web scraping to get the data from this webpage, and I'm going to show you my Alteryx workflow.
Okay.
Okay. So here I have this workflow to get all the data. So I'm getting data from that first web page with the list of those 250 beers. Then we need to move to other pages to get more details. So I'm getting more details about each beer and also the brewery. And we did some a little bit of analysis with that data. So let me walk you through this. First, in this first step, that's my first web scraping. I just used the URL as that was my first input. And with this tool, I was able to download it. So I basically got the whole web page, and we can see a little bit of that data here. So I got a lot of text from here. The whole web page is here, and there is a very, very long line in the middle with all that data. And that's why I'm going to use also on the slide to show you how I transform that data. After I got the whole set, I had to do some regex, regular expressions, to parse the HTML code. So I use this one, but I'm going to show you more details about this. So let me use one slide here to explain what I did. So that's what's happening right here. I got this whole HTML code, and we can see that inside of that page, each beer is going to be a lot of codes with the URL to the beer itself, but I also got the brand name here. And with that code, I'm looking for this part. So first, I'm going to parse only the beer name. And that's a little bit about that code there. I'm looking for this pattern in this data, and the URL is like this. Beer profile, it's always like this. So I hard coded this part. Then we got the brewery code and the beer code. And then I'm just telling, I'm using Alteryx, and I'm telling that I'm looking for this part. Let me move back one slide. I'm looking for this green part, and that's what we're going to get. That's the part I'm interested in, and it looks like this in this data. Now let me go back to Alteryx, and that's how I was able to parse that and got all the beer names. And with a similar regex expression, I was able to get the brewery code, and I used this data to a second web scraping to get the beer profiles and get more details here. So actually, on the second stage, I'm doing two parts. I'm getting the brewery and also the beers in a similar transformation. Let me show you this this connection right here. I got the producer, and then I had to do a little bit more of regex to get more details. So the producer name, the style of the beer, and then I was going to merge all that data back. And after I got all the data, it looks like this. So I have the ranking, the beer name, the style, the rating on that website, the producer name, and also the location. And maybe we're going to find some similarities between this one and also Trayson's transformation. When I got all this data, I had this address, the code, city, and the state. And I use this other tool to do the geolocation. So I'm using the address and the other components, city, state, and postal codes to be able to pinpoint the brewery on a map. So the output from this step is the latitude and longitude. And with this, I can show the brewery on a map. I also got these shape files with all the states. Let me pick another map here. Whoa. Let me get another one. Streets. Yeah, this one looks cleaner. We got all the states, and I can use that to pinpoint. And maybe this will also help us. I got this from US Census, and if you go to this web page, you can just download the shapefile. And there are other options there. That's very interesting. You can get it in just some large regions, or you can go into more details about that. Okay. Back at my workflow, I was able to get the geolocation, and I matched that with the map to make sure I have the proper state in this condition here.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can show the breweries on a map.
Very cool. So there's not that many beers right there on what? Wow. Those states. I know that in Texas and California, there's so many.
Yeah,
But,
at least those first 250 from this website are
mhm.
really concentrated. So we were trying to, let me zoom out a little bit. Okay. Let me zoom in again right here. At least on this website, the 251st, they're concentrated in US.
Mhm.
But just a little bit outside US, Belgium, Denmark, and Sweden. Maybe if we got a different website, we would have a different distribution here.
Okay.
So we did this as soon as we saw the data, but we also did something to compare the producers. So how many beers from each brewery are on this top list? And then later we also did that by the states.
The states, okay.
So a lot of concentration on this ranking on California.
What about North Carolina? North Carolina, there's a lot of breweries there.
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina. I imagine there.
Oklahoma has a pretty good brewery scene as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you got 7, Jason.
Oh.
That's very good.
How many has done in North Carolina? You can just check North Carolina.
Yeah, it was only one here.
Only one. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Curious.
Nice.
Uh-huh.
So I see you did all of this different containers, right? And you have different colors. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
that's really. Which version of Ultrix are you using, Eric?
Oh, this one is 2021.4.
So you're on .4. I know on this version, what's cool is that if you do enable and disable a container, it doesn't like if it
doesn't collapse.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can kind of
Just
see
like
what's
this.
yes, that's a neat new feature. So you can understand what's in there.
I can disable it, for example, and we did a lot of that when we were building this. And thanks Cesar, and he helped me build it. He's not presenting right now, but it was really, really important that he was able to build this. And that's something that we actually use a lot when we're building this. We can disable something that takes longer. For example, this spatial matching can take longer than geolocation as well. So we can just disable and run the rest to get the data to improve something or validate results. But what we had before in other versions, we can also just collapse to hide it. And we can do both. I can disable it and then hide it. So it's also very common. Sometimes we build something and we're using that only for tests, and we don't need that into production. But we know that we're going to run or need that in the future, and I can just keep it there, safe, and then just go back to it.
Got it. Does anybody have any questions? Put it in the chat. Anybody that is watching, please put it in the chat. Any questions about what Eric is showing, the visualization, where he got anything in particular? Is there any way that you can see we can see the whole thing together, Eric? Like maybe you hide that. Yeah, you hide that right there. Just to see have an idea.
Zoom out.
Yeah, I know it's a little bit small now, but it's cool because now you can see the whole thing.
All the steps.
Yeah,
the first web scraping, then the data preparation, the second round of web scraping, and then we got all the data from the web page, and I was just parsing to get the elements. And of course, we didn't do everything, but we could get I could create some analysis based on the beer style and the breweries, more details about the breweries, or maybe we can go into more details and, for example, get the reveals and analyze that as well. That'll be very interesting next step.
Yeah. From the chat, they were asking how long does it took you to build this part that you have here, right here, that you're showing?
Yeah, I'd say Cesar built the core of this workflow. I'd say it took him half a day.
Okay.
But even including the nodes and those details and organizing it, and that's how I usually build it as well. I usually, unless it's too big, I usually go and build things, and then I go back in and adjust it. But of course, if you're doing that for a very long time in a long project, a few days or even months, you need to do some rounds in the middle of the development. Otherwise, it's going to be too crowded here.
Okay. Oh, that looks great. Is there any questions, Trishan, that you have about this specific visualization? I'm sorry, specific transformation. I keep saying visualization. Transformation, maybe something about people who could learn, or something that you were curious about. Anything?
Yeah. Can we look at the regular expression stuff real quick?
Yeah. That's awesome. Perfect.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Let me go back here.
Yeah. So this is something that comes up all the time for anytime we're doing any sort of engagement. We say, hey, this can be done with regular expression, right? And then what's a regular expression? And then they see brackets and plus symbols and periods and pluses, and they're like, what is going on? And so let's just talk about this real quick, and let's talk about the problem that this solves, if that's cool. So what does the data look like coming in, and then what does it look like going out?
Yeah, let me get these. I got more details here. That's how the page code looks like.
Okay.
So we have one beer from that list.
Let's talk about this page code though real quick. So what you're seeing is instead of doing like an API call that brings back like something structured like an HTML or a JSON structure, you're actually scraping the contents of the web page rather than. So there's a difference there, right? Because when people do talk about web scraping, it could mean either one of those things. So we just want to make sure we'll differentiate. Is that am I correct in what's happening there? You are.
Yeah, that's correct.
Gotcha. Can we do an HTML parse on this, or is it only does it not work because it's too difficult for the out of the box HTML parser? Do you know that? Can we give it a shot? Can we just see what that looks like? I'm sorry, I'm curious now because
yeah, no, this is what it's all about.
Let me try that.
So what it's all about, just trying different things. What could be if we do this or that, right? That's the idea, to collaborate.
I'm sorry, not HTML parser. It's an XML parser. Totally got that wrong.
The XML.
Yeah, it's not, and that's not XML. Okay, sorry, my mind went the wrong way. Okay, so we're doing this regex solution because we are actually pulling out HTML script from a website. I'd be interested to know. Can we look at the URL of this website really quickly? Because you said that you're getting 250 results back, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So 200. Okay. All right. I was wondering if it was like a website and then there was a page that was like 261 through 500, 501 through. Because normally what will happen is if you're doing something like this, you can actually cycle through those websites, build an iterative macro so that you do them once. And then sometimes they'll make you put a pause on there because if you're scraping too much, it'll be like there's a bot hitting the website and it'll.
Yeah, they can block you.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, cool. So we are just pulling HTML. Let's go back to those tags. Let's see what regular expressions you use to pull the tags out. Okay, so it looks like you've got the href so it's like a beer profile, and then the tag and the B tag is the name. So can we see the expression used to pull this out?
Yeah. Let me go back to the expression. So we went like this. So we're looking for this first part hard-coded.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that's the beer URL that we're building.
Okay.
Then every time we have the brewery code, but it goes from 1 to 5 digits.
Okay.
And that's what it means. We got numbers. That's the D. And from 1 to 5. So
D means digits, and then the 1 to 5 means 1 to 5 times, correct?
Yeah, 1 to 5 times.
Okay.
Yes. Then we have another slash. That's part of the URL.
Okay.
Then we have a new set of digits, and from 1 to 6 digits.
Okay. And then a slash.
Then we got the B. That's for bold. It will make the text bold.
Gotcha.
Of the next part. And then we're gonna get
the B is for text bold in the HTML. It doesn't have anything to do with what it's doing in regular expressions. That's just what we're looking for. Just to clarify for anyone.
Oh yeah. That's hard coded here because it's always like this.
And we saw that in the HTML. We saw where it had the B brackets around.
The B brackets, okay.
Yeah.
It's just to find that exactly.
Correct.
Yeah, we can show that slide again.
And that's what.
And what's between the parentheses? That means that we're looking for this specific part.
Okay.
So the href, the beer URL, the brewery code, the beer code, the B, and then that's the beer name.
And that's what is that, star question mark? Is that what you're?
Oh yeah, let me get something else to help me.
Yeah.
Okay. This one means that we're looking for means the point that's for anything.
Yeah. So anything that's not a space or yes. So any character, digit,
any character,
line breaks, any of that stuff. That's what the period's looking for.
Yeah, and then it could be any number of characters here, 0 or more.
Yes, and so if people are looking at this, if it's important to distinction that you'll make here. If you want to do something that's like you need to at least find one, then it'd be a plus there instead of instead of a. So if you're seeing pluses and stars, you'll know that's the difference between those two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're looking for this part of the text there. So anything and multiple times or even zero.
Yes.
That one will make any more sense. And this, the question mark, that's the lazy quantifier. And it means that we're going to stop as soon as we find this one.
The open caret. Or
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, minus then.
Cool. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're going to stop right here. If we didn't use this one, it wouldn't be this lazy method, and we could get anything up to the last one of those.
Cool. What kind of regular expression parsing method, or what regular expression method are you using to pull the data out?
Oh, you mean this one?
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah. We use the tokenize.
Okay.
So every time Alteryx find this pattern, it's going to create me a new line.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So do you know the difference between like tokenizing and parsing? Why would I have one or the other? I wasn't trying to stump you. I was trying to give you a softball. Actually, I was hoping you can knock that one out of the park. Yeah. So the parsing is gonna find that X amount of times. So there's like a limit to it, and it'll create a new column. So usually, like if you wanted to break up a URL and you want to do it by slashes, it would be done that way or something of that nature. And this will only show, I believe, it'll only show.
Yeah, we actually using the parsing in another point of this workflow.
Oh, cool.
This one is just producer. This one, for example. We're looking for the details about that beer, and we're actually getting 2 pieces of that. So we're using, let me try to find the first one. Yeah, this one. So average across all ratings of beers, that's the first part that we're looking for, and that became the average. And then we got that again at the end, and that will become this deviation.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. And then, so just to note there, you're also naming
the percentage.
You're naming the output. So it says like average and P. What was the right? So you're actually giving it a column name from this tool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
This is a really good example when we help clients, one-on-one, or when we're working with clients on like specific time for clients. Maybe they're trying to figure out something with their flow that's not working right, or maybe they want to see how can I do this. So we do those type of things. Any client, does anybody have any questions or need some help one-to-one, I mean, we can do something like this for sure.
Yeah. This one is this other parsing. So first we got the list of all the beers. Then we're opening every single page and getting the details. That's why we can get the average and the pdev. So they created this. I'd say that's probably the standard deviation around the average of the rating.
So you're opening each one. Okay, got it. On this page, grabbing that information. That's really cool. Okay. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I see so that's the beer. Okay, that's the name of this is a great, very good site. So the idea is, I mean, imagine you can do something to select or find the ones that you really like, or they're the ones that you would like to drink or something, right? That would be cool.
Yeah. I imagine maybe Tracer is going to show us an analytical app, and and it's around the location, but maybe you could provide some of the beers that you like, and we can find the ones that you're probably going to like as well.
Exactly. Or you can put your zip code and see where can you find them, things like that.
Or you can talk about for this one specifically, like what types of beers you like. Like if you're a big stout fan, and it just filters out all the stouts.
Yeah, you could get the best stouts in the city that you're visiting.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. If we can, and this is probably not going to happen today on this, but if like we could figure out how to take this beer advocate data and then mix it with because I used a different source. I actually have something like 8,000 breweries on my list. So figure out how to take that data and combine it with the data you're using here. We could probably build a pretty robust beer tool.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that would be great.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I mean, this is great, Eric. If Tracy, maybe just I'm looking at the time. You wanted to start looking at his, and then we can think about how we can combine both.
Yeah, sure. We can go.
Awesome.
We can move to Trayson's, and if needed, we can just go back to this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and anyone, like we're super proud that we're like Alteryx Partner of the Year award for the Americas 2021 again. Last year 2020 and 21. So just want to let everybody know. And anything that you guys need Alteryx related, let me know. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So what we did is I built an analytic app, and analytics apps are really cool for those who haven't used them. Essentially what it does is it gives a user that doesn't have Alteryx or doesn't understand what we're doing the ability to interface with an Ultrix workflow. So if you have an organization and you want to build self-service tools using Ultrix, this is the way to go. There are a lot of different interface tools, which we'll talk about later on. I use some simple text interface so that we could put it in an address. And I'll show you what this looks like real quick. We have I talked earlier, I said, hey, if I travel, I like to see breweries that are close to me so that I can go. I love t-shirts, so I love getting a brewery t-shirt. So I want to go over to have some beers, pick up a t-shirt. But the best way, I mean, Google's fine, right? Because you can Google it and it'll give you the sponsored like closest or the sponsored best. And so you could go through that way. But I want to know proximity, and I want to know what's in walking distance, because we don't want to drive. What's in walking distance from my hotel, stuff like that. So what I've done is create this little app, and it shows me all of the breweries within a 5-mile radius of the hotel. So I'm going to go back to Denver as an example. I got this Hilton Garden Inn downtown, and I found the address to it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to input the address into my app. And it's going to, I'm sorry?
It's going to look for it, and it's going to search.
Well, yeah, I'll show you how it works in a second. But what it does is it creates this PDF for me of all of these breweries close to where we're staying. And now you can see like there's a lot of that stuff downtown, but as you go farther out, there are also more. And you get across the highways, if you're familiar with the Denver area. This is how that spreads. What's cool about this is I also have this list, like I mentioned earlier. So if we were to make this something that you could do on your phone, it'd be really easy to pull it down, and then you could grab the URL, phone number, all that stuff if you want to make a phone call. And then if you also just want to grab the address and you quickly put it into like Uber or whatever your traveling app of choice is, all of that's going to be here for you. So I thought this was pretty neat. We're going to, what I wanted to do though, is because not every city is as densely populated as this as breweries, or for this example, maybe it's too densely populated. Like I don't need 60 locations. I'm probably going to go to 2 or 3 tops. How do I take this trade area here, and we want to be able to condense it or to make it wider. So we're going to go into our analytic app and take a look at how to do that. Are there any questions at this point? I can't see this.
Yes, I have a question. So what does the number mean? It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like just 60?
Oh yeah, let me show you that. Sorry,
closest.
No, that's just that just allows you to see. Oops, sorry. That just allows you to see. So this number 35 is this one.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
yes. Okay. Oh, cool. And then there's the Lady Justice Brewing. So if you want to go into that, you can. And to note for my workflow is that the site that I did the API call came with the phone numbers and the website, so I didn't do anything fancy on that. But it was just very nice of them to be able to let me do that. So this is what our analytic app looks like on the back end. Mine's not nearly as pretty as Eric's. I have a hard time with all like the boxes, so I always forget to do it. Whenever you're developing a workflow and you drop one of these interface tools onto the canvas, it's going to become either an analytic app or a macro, depending on what type of tool you put on there. These interface tools, you have to start thinking. So 99% of Ultrix users think about a workflow horizontally, right? So you're moving from left to right. When you drop these tools in, you need to start thinking up and down. So you notice that there are all these little lightning bolt connectors up here at the top of all that starts whenever I put an interface tool in. And as you can see here, through the action tool, we connect to this one text interface tool. I'll just show you something. We'll go back a step real quick. So what I've done is I did an API call. I don't do this every time because I don't need to hit their API every time. What I've done is just created a series of API calls that goes all the way through this list and brought back all of the breweries. And I stored it locally on an YXDB file. Normally, I would want to save it to, let's say it was anything else, and I'd want to save it to a SQL Server or MySQL, whatever you have to store your information. And that way, as an analytic app, I can have it. This one's small enough so it actually could take this file with it when I publish it. But if you're using massive files, you're not going to want to do anything like that.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that you can split those pieces. So maybe you could have the extraction every day or once a week, but you don't need to run that every time someone's trying to find the brewery, because that is not going to be updated or it's not going to change all the time, right?
Correct. And what would be, well, sorry, now I'm thinking, you got me thinking about a whole, if we had some sort of unique identifier to a brewery, right? We could build some way, like a drop-down list. Let's say there's breweries that people like, and we could create a drop-down list that is a list of breweries. And then we could, if this API call had like an identifier that it would accept, we could send a brewery name back in, and it could bring back just the information of the brewery name if we wanted to build it that way. Or if like, let's say we have the breweries, and then there's a separate API in the same system that's pulls the beers, right? And you pull your brewery list and you select your brewery you want. We could have a chained app, and then we could send it back, and then they could get their the list of beers or whatever, kind of to tie into what you're doing. Yeah. So anyway, I take those results and I stored them as JSON. I want to do other JSON things later, so I just stored them that way instead of parsing it first. If anybody's ever heard the term, so there's like structured data, which is how we know it as a table, or like the easiest example is like in Microsoft Excel, right? You have a table of data, and that's structured. You've got columns, you've got rows, you can find everything pretty easily. Then there's semi-structured data, which the most two popular semi-structured data formats are JSON and XML, which we talked about a little bit earlier. These have formats so that they can be parsed pretty easily. Alteryx parses them, and actually a lot of other tools are more commonly starting to read JSON and structured data, so that it can, like, you can Snowflake's a really good example. It has the ability to take a JSON data set like this and compare it directly to a table in your query, so you don't have to parse and restore. You can actually just connect to that data. But Ultrix has a really nifty JSON parsing tool here. So we just throw it in there, we tell it what field it is, and it parses it for us. Actually, I'll just run through this real quick so I can show you what that looks like. We have these 401 records. It parses into JSON, and the way it does that is it gives you these IDs here. So where it says the 0.id, all of these zeros are all the same record whenever we're going to pivot it, and then all of these are everything after the dot is a field name, and then you've got the values, right? So ID is this, name is this, brewery type is closed, etc. And then we'll clean that up. So I did clean that up. I have these I parsed at this is a split to columns, which is a much simpler version of the splitting with regular expression. Or this is actually a function in Excel. If you highlight something that has like a number dot period, and then you say, hey, I want to split on this delimiter, and then split into 2 columns. This is nothing crazy here. So anyway, so now I've got these 2 fields, the column name and the address and the field name. Sorry, the record ID and the field name, and then I do a crosstab. So I had to create this other. I had to use 2 identifiers because the way that when I downloaded it, it wasn't one big JSON file. It's 40 JSON files, and so this number here starts. Where is it? Sorry. This ID number here restarts on every file. So I had to make sure that we were accounting for the mixture of the 2. And then, boom, really easy. Unfortunately, it gave us everything in alphabetical order, which is kind of annoying. I had to move things around. But that worked for us. Did that with the select tool. Did some renames. I guess I didn't do any renames, but I got rid of things that I don't need. And then I moved things around. Then what we did was, again, cool about this one is it came with the longitude and latitude, so I didn't have to geocode any of this, which I did for something else, but we'll look at that in a second. And then we just create the points. Eric showed the example of creating points, and we're going to look at a map, and this is how we get our points on our map. Now, the Geospatial match tool, which is this one here, if anyone's taken the advanced exam, there's a lot of questions about this tool. Actually, a lot of these spatial, but this one comes up a lot. What it does is allows us to take an area, a polygon object, and match it either to another polygon object or points for us, which makes more sense because we want to see how many points are in a radius, right? This tool right here is the trade area. This is what creates our polygon. There's a lot of other options to create a polygon. So let's say that we wanted to build this map. Oh man, dang it. Now I'm thinking there's a map interface.
You're having a lot of other ideas for your workflow.
Exactly. So there's this map input tool here, which allows you to draw a map. So let's say you know your city the best, and you're like, oh, I really just want to look at all of the breweries within Edmond, Oklahoma. So rather than find all the zip codes for Edmond and creating a polygon, you could just like create a square around the city of Edmond, Oklahoma, and then it will show you all the breweries within. We have like 6, so that's cool. But man, now I want to.
Yeah, maybe it could be a different input for your app. Instead of inputting the address, you could say, "Oh, I'm going to stay somewhere in this main street," and just show me the options.
Yeah, so let's see. The map isn't showing up, but essentially what you would do is you could build, draw only one feature, remove current feature, draw map. Oh goodness. There's a way to set this up so you can create polygons, but this one's just pointing a map. So if you're like, I'm staying roughly in downtown Denver or roughly in Oklahoma, you could create your thing from that. And I'll get rid of this. Just to note what I did here is this little, it's a magic wand. This magic wand tool is really awesome for doing quick debugs of apps. Right now, this is what this would show like when I launched it earlier from the desktop. This is what it looked like. But also, if I was to launch it on the server, it would look like this. But I'm like, okay, hey, I'm just thinking through the map tool here, right? And I don't want to launch it. I don't want to have to publish it to the server and then see if it works and then bring it back down and then play test it. We can just do that really quickly right here. I am eating up our time. I'm sorry. I'm going to spin to get quicker. So then we do the match.
Oh, that's a great explanation of those features. Go ahead.
And so there's.
Hey, Teresa, I think you went on mute. Unless there's something on my side. Oh, I just heard something.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear
Okay.
you.
All right. Sorry about that. I probably touched my microphone and it freaked out. So, okay. So there's two outputs here. There's the matched and the unmatched. There are use cases for unmatched. So like if you want to see, I'm trying to think of what a good. Let's say you have addresses and you have some storefront, and you're like, I want to see the addresses that are outside of my storefront's trade area, right? And so you would do something like that, and that way you could it could kind of help you figure out where you want to put up a new storefront or something like that in this unmatched area here. And this might be even better when you're using something different than a trade area. Like let's say you're using a county, or if you have space files for like zip codes, or what are they, delivery, like USPS delivery areas. If you have any of that stuff and you want to see something outside of your area, that'd be a really good option for you here. And then we did, man, I could take an entire hour and talk about these tools, but these are the reporting tools, and they're tough to, once you figure them out, they're second nature, but they do take a long time to figure out. I'd say they're very similarly set up to like an old Crystal report or something like that. But it's what allows you to build these. What happens is every one of these tools builds an XML object. So like if you look here coming in, right, we've got all these brewery locations, and coming out of it, I've got these two things. One's a map and one's the bounding rectangle, which is the rectangle around the map. And then this one here is a table. I actually sent in a table, but it comes out looking like this. And so it's an XML object, which offers a lot of other opportunities for you. But then we just join them, and then we put the layout tool, which you always have to have the layout tool to bring things together, and then the render tool ends your workflow. And this is how we get a PDF. Currently, I'm doing it to a temporary PDF. You could also change it to different types of file, or you could choose a specific file output. But what I wanted to do really quickly is I wanted to change the radius here of this trade area. So let's do that. We're going to use the numeric up and down. If you're familiar with the trade area tool, we've got this specific value here, so it defaults to 5 miles. What's cool about it is that you can do like donuts. So if you wanted to say, I want to see everything that's as close as 2.5 miles, but as far away as 5 miles. So you have these two values, you can create two donuts, and you can get really fancy with it. I haven't found a ton of great use cases for that, but I'm sure they exist. But what we want to do is we want to build this interface tool to change this.
I did some before with this donut because I wanted to create the 2 or 3 different groups. So it would be the closest ones, and then the ones that are far out.
So that's for like bucketizing distances from the center into groups. Oh, interesting. I like that. So you're making concentric circle. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What's cool about the interface, Alteryx and the interface tools, is if that you ever drag this to your lightning bolt, it immediately adds an action tool in there for you. And so what you're going to do is what's cool is it's also noticing that, okay, we got this numeric up and down. This just is like, he obviously wants to update the miles. So it's already set up for you. You can, if you want to get really tricky with it, you can update your XML, or you can update your value. This is going to show you manually what all of these objects are to update. And so you can see the radii value is 5.0. So it has this highlighted for you. Let's go back here. All right, so we'll leave that as default. And let's change this. Like, let's say we don't want it to do 100. Let's say within 20 miles, because that's a little far. And then increments of, let's do 0.5. Because sometimes people would only want to look at half, 0.5, and then the default is, let's say, 1 mile. And then we say, okay, we've changed that. And now if I save this let's change this. Also, we want to change the name. Hotel. Call it distance from hotel. And then I save this, and then we run it as an app. And I just got all of our new addresses. And let's see if I can do this.
Maybe something in the future. Maybe you could just give your hotel name and the city name, and we can do a first web scraping to find a hotel, and then recommend the breweries around it.
Exactly. And yes, so this knocked it down to 2.5 miles. Remember, there were roughly like 60 things returned, and now we're only getting 43. So you can keep moving that down lower and lower until, of course, you get something really close, like 1/2 mile or 1/4 mile, and you get all of these. And that's the basics of this analytic app. There's a lot going. Oh, I'm sorry. The other thing we did here is, I'm not going to show you this because it has my address in it, and I forgot to take it out. But essentially, we have a hard-coded address right here. And we are using these to update the values in that address. So like this is updating the field that has OK. This is updating the field that has the state, the city. This is the zip code, etc. Mm-hmm. And then we take that address here. Oh goodness, we take that address here and we create a point in this cast tool. Now, just to note for everyone at home, this is not an out-of-the-box tool of Ultrix. You have to have the CAS data package. And if that's something that you're interested in, let us know, and we can help get you in touch with the right people. But it is it's a powerful tool. It allows you to do to update addresses for like the U.S. Postal Service addresses. So if you are doing any standardization, that's available in there. If you're doing things like this where you want to create points, that's in there. All that sort of stuff are available to you here. And that's it.
Yeah, I actually like the way that we build those analytical apps, because we don't need to think about that from the beginning. So we can just use one address, and then you build it, and now you think about that. Oh, I'm going to make some of those parameters available later. And that helps a lot, the development of those.
Absolutely.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I don't have any questions on the chat. I haven't seen no questions yet. But it's really cool. I mean, just super helpful to understand, how you build that. I mean, I think that app is pretty nice. I mean, the way that you can. So pretty much, can you put any address, right? Any address at all, or is that either for the whole U.S. or just for one state, or
for the whole of the U.S. right now? The only CAS. Man, we could talk about that if you want to do it. There are international breweries in there, but essentially what we would have to do is set it up so that there will be like a country selection in the interface, and we'd have to set it up to run for every country, and then we'd have to disable the sections that weren't for that country. So let's say it's the US and Brazil. I don't know if there's to note what I said earlier, there's the geospatial data packages. I believe there are different packages for every continent.
Yes, we have one in Brazil. That's the Brazilian location insights. Gotcha. And at least for, I know with the CAS, there's some other features, but this part with the geolocation and these trade areas, we can also do that if we have addresses in Brazil.
Gotcha.
So let me ask you a question. You were using an address from a hotel. Is it possible to use an address from your house and see what is around? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's even nicer.
You want me to I'll send it over. Are you in Brazil as well?
No, I'm in Orlando.
Perfect. Yeah, but if we did want to, maybe that's something for another time. A follow up to this is if we wanted to build like a showing how to use containers. So again, containers. We're coming back. Analytic apps can enable and disable containers. So if you can build entire sections of your workflow that. Let's say you wanted to do this and you didn't want to do the whole geospatial, like the address part. You just wanted to see breweries. And oh, actually, that's another great idea. Instead of putting in an address, like we have an option, there's an interface tool where it allows you to be like, do you want to look at an address? And you pop that open and then you put in an address. Or if you're like, oh, I just want to know it by a zip code, or I just want to draw my own, like have it giving them the 3 options, and then they could pop those open and it would expand and close the containers within the workflow. That'd be
maybe I would just pick a city or the whole state just to have an idea.
Yeah, I mean the states would probably get big, especially if you're picking like a Colorado. You could have thousands of breweries in Colorado.
Yeah, like in North Carolina.
Yeah. But if we blend those 2 workflows, you could go like this. You could pick the whole state, Colorado, but just breweries that have beers above a certain rating. Or a specific style of beer as well.
Yeah, or if you only want to see microbreweries or something like that.
Microbreweries. Yeah. Like if you want to see something very specific, No, this is great. This is great stuff. I love this topic. It's so cool, so easy to work with.
It's relatable.
Yeah, very easy to deal with. I would say very interesting. But no, I want to say we're almost at the end. I want to say thank you to everyone for being with us today. If you have any questions, data meaning at datamining.com. Check our YouTube channel. We have over 100 videos there. Thank you for that. So we're seeking, Ultrix server specialists, developer, architects, you name it. If you know Ultrix, let us know. We're probably going to hire you. So just let us know. And like I said, if anybody needs anything, related data meeting, we have a lot of offerings from, one-on-ones to a lot of training. And if you need anything in particular, let us know. We are a complete BI solution dealing with Tableau, Alteryx, Snowflakes, you name it. We can do it. But anyway, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you much to Json and Eric. Hope to see you again anytime. And tomorrow we're going to have the same type of data, but with visualizations. And anytime, and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 3 p.m. We're here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
3 p.m. Eastern.
Huh?
3 p.m. Eastern.
3 p.m. Eastern. Thank you. 3 p.m. Eastern. That's right. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.